right, I found someone.
And we are live. All right, ladies, get ready, get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cousteau, and I am here for the third hour of the show with my co-host, Diva J, who
Hello.
is either in
There.
Las Vegas, on her way back, been there, done that.
I'm back. I am back in real life.
Can hear that you are back. Listen, we are so excited to have you back. We are excited for those of you that are tuning in to our Facebook Live. You can certainly catch the show from In Touch News. Thank you to our engineers there holding the fort down as we still navigate post-COVID. We had such a great time a month ago on the third hour of the show. Then our guest, Mrs. Michelle James Bradley, and we couldn't get all of our questions in, so we asked her if she would come back and join us for part 2, and now we've got even more questions. Right. So first of all, listen, ladies, it's Black History Month, and so Diva J, who has been up in the Black Capitol for a number of years, she can certainly jumpstart us as we begin to talk about Black History Month. Person of influence, or just someone that you would like to share about, because it is Black History Month. Diva J?
Absolutely. Well, I must say that my person I want to shout out this year is Vice President Harris. Okay. As a fellow Howard alum, I think when I think of Black history that's being made, she is definitely one of the immediate persons who come to mind. And I must say, another person that comes to mind is actually my very own sister.
Yes, that's
Teresa. Teresa Horge, who has been announced recently as the first Black woman general manager for Greenway Ford. So we have a Black history person in the Horge family. So super, super, super excited and just honored. Everywhere I go now, I'm like, my sister's a GM, just riding that wave. So definitely shouting out those two lovely ladies for this month.
And we shout out them both, and so proud of Miss Teresa, simply because she's been a guest on our show. And we had the opportunity of sharing with her for an entire hour. Greenway Ford was doing some amazing things in the community during the pandemic, helping put a lot of individuals into new vehicles. And to have known her really all of her life, I am so excited and so very, very proud of her. And you guys have a huge event coming up in honor of her, correct?
Possibly. She may or may not know. So yes, but we definitely will be honoring her accomplishment.
Okie dokie.
Oops.
Catch the show that will be all up in your brand's business. That being said, whoop, whoop, we're going to segue to our guest. Who would you, first of all, welcome back to Let's Talk Business with SJC and my co-host Diva J. So I'm glad to have you back. You were very transparent in your show as we talked about the woman and her wisdom, but you, the woman, you are an inspiration to so many. And I'll say Michelle because you're my friend, but you have been an inspiration to so many. And what you shared will just only continue to inspire those that are coming behind us, and to let them know that life, we have valleys and mountains, but once we make a decision to do something about it, there's so much more when you begin to accept where you are, know that you can do better, and begin to walk in your purpose. And for those of you that joined in last week or you caught the show a month ago, then you also know that somewhere along this journey, you will get to read about our amazing guest today. Microphone over to you, if you would. Again, thank you for joining the show today. And who would you like to shout out?
Absolutely. Thank you for being here and thank you for your kind words and thank you for having me back. I truly enjoyed that segment with you ladies. Typically, my radio shows are all with males. I never get the chance to like just talk about how great us as women are because it's always, and you know, my field is such a male dominated industry that it, you know, typically if I'm being invited as a guest, my host is a male. So it has truly been great to be able to share the woman, not just the work, because it is what makes me who I am. It is those struggles, it's those hard times, it's, you know, being a mom, a wife, you know, and just all those different things that we have to do as women every day and hold it down, right? And still go home and try to cook a meal, clean house, and do it all, right? So
into the children
and raise the children and be the grandma. So, you know, I am truly happy about being here. So thank you again. As you know, I recognize women who stand up in a field that is so totally male dominated. And one person they said 75 years ago, Mary Washington Wiley was the first CPA female. CPA. Wow. She was a visionary, a trailblazer, a mentor, and the very first Black female. So salute to her for setting that for us, you know, to understand that, you know, I can stand with the best of them when it comes to the knowledge, except a lot of people would prefer dealing with a male.
Isn't that something?
Wow,
yeah, I'm glad. Since we've had you on the show, we've had a couple of calls coming in from individuals, and you know what they specifically wanted? A female accountant or a female CPA.
Awesome.
So
yeah,
that
not a whole lot of us out there.
We're listening, because every now and then you just want to have a conversation with somebody that knows what you are dealing with on the daily. So I thank you both. For that. I'm still trying to grab my foot, Diva J.
And just being a female in business, it's nice to be able to talk to another female that may or may not be experiencing those same trials that you are.
Well, you know what? We've got several questions today and 3 categories, and they all came from females. How about that?
Love
and it. Diva J, let's see. Let me make sure you have something that you want to share before we delve into. Now, we've talked about the woman, we've talked about her wisdom, and now it's all about the work. Diva J?
Absolutely. I mean, from our last call, you know, we knew instantaneously you had to come back. You were just at the tip. I don't even know if you hit the tip yet of a lot of the information you shared. I know I ran home and my dad said, tell me about an LLC. I said, no, Dad, let's talk about an S Corp. You know, so I took some of the information and was like, I think we need to think about this differently. So I am excited to just continue that conversation, continue getting those nuggets dropped, and continue to see how they apply, not just to myself, but to colleagues, and have the resources to say, look at this and call her, you know, and let's figure this out together. So I think we have some great questions lined up. Sure, I saw some come in from some of our viewers. So I'm ready to hop right into it, because I think that Michelle has a wealth of knowledge to share with our listeners who are anxiously awaiting those nuggets of info to take into consideration.
You know what? I was going to save this one, the text message, till last, but I'm just going to throw it out there before we get to the questions that came in via email from the show. How old do you have to be? And it was prefaced with the saying, there are 3 things you will do in life, and that is pay taxes, stay Black, and die. So the question was, really, how old do you have to be to stop filing taxes?
So there is no age limit on filing taxes. So death is what ends your filing requirements. However, if you are a senior and your only income is Social Security, only income, no interest, no pensions, no annuities, nothing. If it is only Social Security, then they will allow you to not file because they understand that it's one of those things you put on there because it's non-taxable, you end up with a non-taxable return. But that is the only time you really would be required not to file.
Okay, good question. So that was true. You will stay Black. You will
pay taxes and die.
Well, that person may have known what they were speaking of. With that being said, we're going to jump in, and a friend of the show will start with Ann Thompson. Ann Thompson, she has an MS in international real estate. She's a broker, property manager, and there's a whole lot of other acronyms that comes behind and titles behind that. But she asked the question, what deductions, and this is pretty good, what deductions can a real estate professional take? Two-part question. Can these things such as masks and hand sanitizers be deducted, for instance, when you're having like an open house or something? So let's start with deductions for the real estate professional.
Great question, Anne. So as far as, and I try to tell people this because it becomes really difficult to say what can be deducted and what can't be deducted, because in the course of doing your business, in your industry, anything relating to you earning your income is deductible. Sanitizers and masks is a part of what she needs to do to have a safe viewing, right? To meet with the clients, to take them out, to show them the homes, totally deductible. She decides to wear a brand shirt with your company name, totally deductible. She wants to look fly and wear Calvin Klein, not deductible.
Different brand.
Right, the red bottoms, not deductible. But again, if it's an expense that is a part of you transacting a business deal, it is deductible. And I say this because let's take, and a lot of people don't typically understand when I say this, but let's take myself, okay? Totally professional. If there's a particular brand that I like, it does not require me to wear that brand to prepare your tax return. Hence, it's not deductible. Now, I might get away with some dry cleaning and things like that, but as far as the purchasing of it, no. Let's take an exotic dancer, right? They file taxes. They make good money. If an exotic dancer goes out and enhances her breasts, that is a part of her trade. She gets to deduct the plastic surgery. Wow. You and I can't do that. That is not a part of our business. But because a part of her business is to show her body and to look a certain way, meals, gym, shoes, right. She likes a certain type of music. Whatever it takes for her, makeup, right? Makeup, her everyday attire is pretty much deductible because that is her industry. Yes. For us, that's not our industry. So we're not allowed to take those things because it doesn't require us to do that to make money. So
you broke that down nicely.
Huh?
You broke that down nicely.
I try to, because it's hard, because I can tell you car, this, that, but there's so many things. I mean, you could be a realtor and want to have a 401k. So that's deductible, but not all realtors will want to do it. And so again, it becomes difficult, to always say, what are all the line items that are deductible? So if I can tell you to match it to your industry,
Okay.
then you will understand it, right? I have a young lady that is on the base, the McDill base.
Mhm.
Well, she's required to be a certain weight. She's required to be a certain statute. Plastic surgery was able to be written off. That's not always that case, but that is
Okay.
a requirement of her that she needs to meet annually in order to stay on the base, to stay in the military. So hopefully I answered that question.
Actually, you did, and just having a conversation with her, I'm thinking of another question, and that was being a real estate professional was the car, the automobile, and because she has to drive her customers around, that's something. And the question was, what if it's not purchased in the company's name and it's just that person's personal automobile? Definitely mileage and those things, and maybe even maintenance, but the car itself, would that be one of her business expense deductions?
Absolutely. So for the cars, you can choose to go one of two ways. You can choose to go mileage, or you can go actual. For the person that chooses actual, they have a newer car with a car note, which is probably pretty high. They will have insurance, really not a whole lot of maintenance. So you can actually choose the higher of the two. So you can either go actual or you can go with mileage. Now, mileage covers everything. It covers repairs, gas, right? So once you do mileage, that's pretty much all they need from you. And there are tons of apps online for that realtor that's trying to track their whereabouts. The one difficult thing about mileage is if the IRS decides to challenge a mileage deduction, right? Because our truck drivers get them, and you can just imagine how many miles they're reporting. If the IRS starts to challenge that, what happens is their documentation is not always complete, right? And so because of that, they tend to lose the questioning between themselves and the IRS, because the IRS requires date, where'd you go, who did you meet, and for what, right? And a lot of people don't always have all their ducks in a row, so to speak, in order to take a complete mileage deduction. And it is a high audit area. So, I say use your apps, use your calendars to go back and recreate ledgers that say where you were at, what you were doing, if you are taking those that mileage deduction.
I'm reminded when I worked in corporate America, and we used our personal automobiles, and we always paid mileage, reimbursed. We turned in a monthly business expense. But here's one thing that actually would stop us or prohibit us maybe from getting our lunch. If you did not document on the back of that receipt the guests that attended that lunch date with you, it pretty much got kicked out within the company. And then imagine what that would be like if they're submitting their documentations and there's, quite a few people with these expenses. And that's how they put us in check. You didn't have it submitted just properly, you didn't get your reimbursement back.
Correct.
So
pretty much the same
thing
with the IRS.
So let's take it to the next question was, well, since you're talking about that in housekeeping and the importance of keeping records, the best way to keep records when you're handling it, and this is just new for all of us, cash out expenses when it comes to income. And it is so relevant today. I mean, we could have a whole show about cryptocurrency and how all of that is affecting us. I mean, everywhere you look. I went to purchase something the other day and they only wanted Bitcoin. And so I was like, wow,
really?
The industry is changing. Well, that being said, to her question, Cash App expenses and income coming from Cash App.
So the IRS recently passed that anything coming through any one of those digital platforms is now taxable. So the way they're determining who will be taxed is if it's coming from a business account. So if you have a personal account, you're sending money to mom once in a while, you're not going to have an issue.
Okay.
If you have an account that's set up for your business, it's set up for Tax Pro, it's PayPal is Tax Pro, any transfers that comes in would be considered income and is then definitely reportable on a 1099. Okay, now it doesn't mean that the IRS aren't going to fine tune those rules, because now we know what people are going to do, right? They're going to keep it personal, right? Which means now they're probably going to limit how much you are able to send to any one person if they can't find, because the IRS is going to find a way to get their money. They're going to get their money one way or the other. They'll get their money. And so they'll probably continue to fine tune that to where everyone is picking up, right? Because you cash app the landscaper, you cash app the pool guy. Is the pool guy reporting all his income? Right? I'm taking the deduction because I work from home. So absolutely, my pool is an expense to maintain my home. And so absolutely, I'm taking the deduction. Is he picking up the income? And so that's where the issue is, right? We're taking the deduction because we're like, no, we paid you to do the landscaping. We paid you to write this, ghostwriter, whatever. And the IRS started seeing this years ago. So let's think when you start talking to someone that's overseas. Fiverr, that website there, right? You cannot track what you were paying, but over the years, they have tightened up. Now you can print out how much you've paid, who you've paid it to. Before, there was no way to track that information. You just hired a rep and they did your work and you were done. Right? So they are looking to tighten those things. But if you can understand why they're tightening it, it's because there's one person, childcare, right? I have you watch my baby. I need a social. I need to take that deduction. Right? Where somebody else at home will be like, no, because I'm on the system and I'm disabled and I shouldn't show any money, but you want the deduction.
Wow. Listen, Michelle and Diva J, this is Ann's last question, but before we get to Ann's last question, because you brought it up talking about a home-based business, one of the things, and we were talking about, I meant to say cryptocurrency. It was any form of cryptocurrency, and just so happened it was Bitcoin. But I wanted to say, I was sending somebody some money on Venmo. And I just happened to just stop, and I was just kind of scrolling through, and I thought, oh my goodness. All I saw, to your point, paid landscaper, paid yard man, paid babysitter. And I'm thinking, this information is right here for all of us to see how you are spending your money. So I told that person, nah, do you have another option? And then I learned there is a setting that you can turn it off. Well, apparently people don't know there's a setting where you can turn that off, because I just scrolled up and down people I know, and I'm like, I can see where your money is going.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Ann's last question is, what are IRS guidelines to deductions related to a home-based office? And you pretty much started giving them to us as you were explaining and using yourself as an example of working from home. But to the entrepreneur, and as a result of COVID, so many individuals are still working from home. Help us to just pay attention to things we should be made aware of.
Absolutely. So if you are self-employed, this is not for my W-2 earners. No, because your boss told you work from home does not mean you can deduct your home-based expenses. This is solely for my business owners. So for the business owners, you are able to deduct any and all expenses pertaining to your home. So we have landscaping, pool, we've got electric, we've got cable, we've got, property taxes, we have interest expenses coming in. We have all these expenses with maintaining our homes, okay? And You still have, of course, office expenses, the printer, the computers, all the chairs, right? All the other stuff. But for the stuff that it takes to maintain the home, you are able to deduct a percentage. Let me start with that. A percentage of the size of your home. So now let's do this again. You have a 2,500 square foot home. You use one office. You use one room. Let's say your room is 500. It's a pretty big room, but let's say it's 500 for the sake of accounting. You are now able to deduct that particular quarter of all your expenses based on the size of your room. So it's the total square footage of your home,
Okay.
the total square footage used for business. Caveat, the IRS says if you do not allow your clients or your customers to come to that place of business, it is really not considered a home-based business. So for those people that have it in their bedrooms and right, you have in the corner right there, you've got the laptop and right with the desk, right, and you're like, oh, this is where I work from. Truly, you are not supposed to be taking that deduction. You're like, yeah, but I do work from home. And I totally get that. I'm just saying, the IRS says, where is this located? Or if they do a site visit, the entire thing is now considered non-deductible, right? Because they're going to say you don't meet the qualifications. Is there a way around that? Absolutely. How about we have our business pay rent?
Okay.
This is why you have accountants on your side.
Yes.
Right? So you can totally get around those things by structuring things just a little differently. Okay? So the fact that you might not be able to, it doesn't mean that you cannot take the deduction. It is on an individual basis. You come in, we talk about it, we look at it, and we figure out how do you still get to take those deductions. And that is one of the ways to do so.
Diva J, I love the way when she is giving us an example, she says, my customers or my clients or my people. I love that ownership. Yeah. And that says to me that when you are her client, man, it's all about you.
It is all about you.
That's
people call
in your conversation.
You're like, well, how much do you charge? I don't know, because I don't know you, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what you're bringing me, and I don't know. I can't just quote it based. You call me in. How much is a tax return? Well, did you buy a house, sell a house, have kids? Have a rental properties? Do you have stocks, bonds? And so that becomes difficult. Now, a lot of times people just go, how much do you charge? And I'm like, I can't really answer that because my work is dependent on what it is that you are expecting of me to do, right? Okay. So for those people who are selling homes, and I know real estate people should all know this, and if you don't, there is a $250,000 exclusion on all primary properties. If the person is married, it is a $500,000 exclusion. So that is doubled. So you have your home, not to get off track, but you have your home, you sell it, you make $400,000, zero taxes. Zero taxes. Because as long as you have not used that particular credit within 5 years of any, like you have not sold anything within about 5 years, you will have that full 250 exclusion. That's
on
always
that note,
a great
Michelle,
thing
we're going to come back. We're going to come back and you can talk about that a little more. And then Diva J is going to get in some other questions. So back in 2, Mike's video's off, back in 2 minutes.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I've worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Strong, beautiful women take charge of their lives, and it starts with learning the facts. Did you know that most women diagnosed with breast cancer have no known risk factors or family history, and it's more deadly for Black women than any other race or ethnic group? But it doesn't have to be. If you're over 40, regardless of your race or ethnicity, you need to get a mammogram every year. Early detection saves lives. Talk with your doctor about the best screening plan for a strong, beautiful you.
Champions don't quit, but there's one kind of quitter I admire: former smokers. If you're over 55 and still smoking, or even if you quit years ago, talk with your doctor about lung cancer screening, even if you have no symptoms. It's quick and painless. Lung cancer is the nation's most deadly cancer, but screening can better the odds. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. Together, we can be champions over cancer.
And we are back. Welcome back to Let's Talk Business with SJC and my co-host Diva J. The third hour of the show. Our hot topic started off with 2022. Your taxes are due, part 2. So we have our special guest on, Michelle James Bradley, who is, she is giving it to us. This is real talk. Real talk about what you should know. Things that we have heard that we can deduct, and she's telling you the real reason if you decide to go that route. I love this is what you can do. This is what the IRS guidelines say. But once you know that you have a CPA, someone like yourself, you can then show them how to make it more beneficial to them. So again, thank you to our radio listening audience, our YouTubers, our Facebook family. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you because we've been doing this for 3 years. Diva J, you have more questions for our in-house CPA.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've been taking notes so far, and we're still due, but I'm going to go to Miss Tonia Bascom.
That's Tonia Bascom. Yes, Tonia.
Oh, Tonia. Look at me being creative.
That's
Tonia
okay.
Bascom. So Tonia is a community association manager for the Hamptons at the Brando Condo Association. And so one of the questions that she has is, in the world of COVID and its many variants, who can a business report fraudulent unemployment claims to? When the Department of Reemployment is not responding to, their correspondences or attempts, if the claim wasn't reported or investigated prior to, and now they're kind of being charged for, how do they go about remedying that type of situation?
So, the specific organization, I don't recall, but if you have a case with the Department of Revenues, if you bring them that information, if you give them the data and you're not just, right, but you show them the solid data, they have a right to investigate that particular person, right? So anyone who has committed any type of fraud against the CARES Act it is definitely punishable. And I believe directly on the CARES Act, website, you are able to report that. But I can double check that on the break. But I think that's where you go and you can report that. But a lot of people did unemployment in different states with different people's names, and they got paid all this money. And it was good that they were acting as quickly to get people paid, but of course it also, made them not do a lot of the homework, right? Because someone from Florida, you should not be sending a debit card to Florida if the person said they lived and worked in Pennsylvania. And I will tell you, Florida is one of the biggest fraud states when it comes on to scams. And yes, for some reason, Florida is one of the biggest ones out there experiencing it. There's just so much fraudulent behavior here. And, I see it there. I see people make up W-2s, try to come and file. I see fake socials. I see fake driver's license. And I'm like, I'm not the IRS cop. I'm not Social Security. Like, what are you supposed to do with it? But they've come in with children who don't have, tax IDs. And so it's extensive here. It's extensive here. But yes, I would say you make an appointment to go to the Department of Revenue and ask to speak to someone if you have clear facts that this person has abused the system. I promise you they'll want to know. Now, for the person who that has happened to, for the business that has picked up the claim or has to pick up the claim, what will happen is you'll see what they call your business experience rate going up. Okay, so before you paid a couple of dollars, you'll notice now your unemployment is higher. So here in the state of Florida, unemployment is the employer's expense. There are some states that allow it to be both, and there are some that just allow it to be the employee. Now, here in the state of Florida, it is just us. It's us as the employers that are responsible. And so once your experience rate starts changing, and this happens if you fire and you let go a lot of people, if you keep having high turnovers, it also happens then. So it's not just in the case of, someone fraudulently doing it, but once that account keeps getting tapped for benefits, then you will see a change in your experience rate and you will be responsible for paying more. So it definitely does affect you. Now, if they gave them 600, it doesn't mean you're paying 600, but you are paying a percentage of that back into the system. It's kind of like an escrow account. Yeah.
Now, is there anything, that a business can do to protect itself against fraudulent claims aside from the reaction of, submitting the information? Is there any preventative measures that maybe they should consider or have in place to
make sure you're answering those unemployment notices that are coming out to you? And sometimes an employee will quit and still be nervy enough to, go and try to collect unemployment on your account. And you can absolutely say that no, they quit, they were not fired, whatever the case might be. And what will happen is they'll then have a penalty waiting period before they can collect. So they'll still get it, but they won't get it right away. If they've walked off the job, no show, no call, there's definitely a penalty period for them.
So checking your mail is important.
Check your mail. And that thing goes by, and I've noticed they only send like one. Like, boy, if you missed that, you just missed it.
Yes.
But they are allowing you to respond online.
And Diva J, people ask her, how much do you charge? Look at the background information that she has to do the research on.
Right.
Every case is different. Every client is different. And I mean, to me, that's a perfect answer. Even the same with me. People, how much do you charge? Well, I don't know. What am I marketing and how far do you want to go? So, I mean, I prefer the custom experience where you understand what's on the table and what we want to get on the table or take off.
Absolutely. I mean, you
Yeah,
can
no.
come in and tell me, I'd like to open up a trust. It's very different than someone just filing a tax return, you know? So the realm of service is very broad. You could have a business, you need me to do accounting, outsource CFO services. We do offer that, you know, quarterly reviews, I offer that. So there are just, you know, there are tons of services that I can offer. So it depends on the client's needs and cash flow.
Absolutely. It's about that budget. So we do have some more questions. And now these questions are coming from Mrs. Regina Johnson, who's the owner of Queen's Vision African Apparel. And so she's relocating her business and wants to know this is the go-to question, right? Relocating, what are some of those expenses that she should be writing off or consider writing off as she is in the process of moving the business?
So, and we'll clarify, this is only for moving the business. Do
Yes.
not tell anybody I said moving expenses is allowed. It's not- We as individuals no longer have moving expenses. No, I watched it and she said it. No, I did not.
All right.
So if you are moving your business, you are able to deduct everything during that transition, the renting of the truck, the new awnings, redoing your office space, new advertising because you've relocated, the printing of flyers. I mean, you name it. Anything that is associated again with that business is absolutely all deductible. A lot of people don't write things down. And so what happens is they tend to miss some of the deductions, right? So in the process of moving, did you scout properties? Yep. What's the mileage? I don't know. Well, that would have been deductible if you knew, right? Right. So even the scouting of the new location is deductible, right? You went out to 10 different offices and you're looking at them and you just don't like them. Well, mileage back and forth is deductible at that point. Okay, so it again, it's anything in the course of doing business, and if that's a part of it, then it is. But the thing is, again, we don't document, right? We just go, oh, I moved, now what? Well, it starts at the moment you had the idea of what you were going to do, right? Business in the IRS eye starts at the conception, the idea that I would like to be a marketing person. So let me jump online and see what marketing classes are there. Let me jump online and read some of these materials out here. Let me go to a couple of these classes where these pros are giving them for $100, right? All those things, the concept of the idea of business is deductible. So you get to write all that off, even if you've not yet opened up your doors, right? But you are doing the legwork to opening the doors. And so you are able, it's called organizational expenses, because we are beginning to get it all together. You are able to deduct the expenses even prior to opening doors for business.
Now that's amazing.
Wow,
That's amazing.
new. And not only that, what about, for instance, we both are consultants. And so you've got individuals consulting about their idea of a business, and that process has to start right then. Miss Regina Johnson may be working with a consultant now to do the build out of the space and helping to organize that move.
Absolutely. It's all with the idea. The start of it becomes right there. So if you can think of what it took for you to get where you are or where it is that you're going, it is deductible.
That's
Now
a
I'm
good guideline.
gonna ask a curveball question, because I can imagine we have many viewers who may not want to ask this question. I've been in business for 10 years, and after hearing you, I've done it all wrong. What do I do now? So really, what is the answer to that? Because we definitely, we're giving new business owners and those fresh starters good advice, but now you got those old folks, or when I say old folks in
Absolutely.
business, who are now thinking like,
I think a lot of them felt it during the pandemic.
Yes.
I think they recognized then they were not doing business correctly. I got hundreds of thousands of dollars from my clients that actually document, that actually report their income, that actually come in and file their tax returns. Because the thing is, we are excellent. We're an excellent cook, and we just want to sell meals, but we don't want to report it, right? Or we bake and we don't want to do our tax returns, or and so I think a lot of people, small businesses, felt the hit when they were not able to produce a tax return to get any type of funding, because a lot of free money was given away. A lot of free money. And so for those people, I say, listen, it's never too late to get it right. It's never too late to get it right. Get on the right track. And that's not to say, oh, COVID, we're going to get some more money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, do business the right way. And if you do business the right way, then everything that comes along with it will also fall in place. We have small businesses, they don't want to report their income. Well, you can't buy a house. You can't get anything without a tax return. The first thing that the bank will ask you for is a tax return. So it doesn't matter that you have the money in the bank, unless you're going to buy it cash. If you are looking for any type of assistance from the bank, you need a healthy tax returns. Now, I can get you as many deductions as you want, or as you need, or as you're qualified for. If you're trying to buy a home, this might not be the year that we go digging for deductions. I need to keep your income a little high, because you have some things that you need to do. In keeping your income high, you're going to pay a little bit of taxes. Let me put you on a payment plan, go buy the home you desire and deserve. And then let's do this again next year. Right? Understand what those two-year goals are, especially within your business. I'm looking for funding. I'm looking for an investor. I'm looking to grow. Well, you can't tell me you have a concept and you can't show me what it will bring, right? Oh, Michelle, I'd like you to, or you bring it to your mom. You're like, listen, help me to sign for this loan. Why? When she can't see anything, right? You can't show her how you've made the money. You can't show her that this actually works because you're not filing. So for those people, listen, get it right. Start over with a new LLC if you have to. Go back, start over. Listen, add a period at the end, an S somewhere. Use the same name, do a DBA. You can still, you can create a company name and use the DBA that people are used to. My DBA is Tax Pro of Tampa. That is not my legal business name. Okay, my DBA is Tax Pro of Tampa. My business name, my LLC name is a whole nother name, right? And so go out, create your DBA, still use those things that people are able to identify you by because you've been in business, right, and then go from there.
I love that. I love that you go for the goal. You know what I mean? Some people give you the by the book answer, and everything you're saying is by the book. But you go for the goal. Like, this is where you're at now, but this is where you want to be. So this is what we need to do to get you there. Yes. And I think that is just so needed. That's refreshing.
If you didn't get it on those 10 years, you can certainly start for the 2 years coming ahead, getting everything and doing it the right way. And DBJ, I know you probably have another question, but I did want to ask Michelle. When I remember, because you were talking about really knowing what you need to do when you're opening up a business, and DBJ was mentioning where they're getting this information from. Are you still doing classes?
I do some classes. I do classes.
I know you're at Hillsborough County.
Yes, and I do classes with the SBDC. I also do some classes with the the Hillsborough contracting. So if you're trying to get contracts from, Hillsborough, St. Pete, I do those classes. How do we prepare you for funding, for financing? Just a bunch of classes. It's, with the SBDC, it's how do you set up the accounting, your books. So I do those classes as well. And those classes are free.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, you jump onto.
So how much does she charge? The class.
I tell everybody, go to the SBDC. I feel like it's one of those resources I never knew was ever available, and they're so valuable. They find the best people in their industry to teach their classes.
That's
For
true.
free.
And Diva J knows Carol Mana. And
Yes. I love her.
You're part of her team. And she'll be the first to tell you, when I went in business, I did not know what I know today. Didn't know.
You don't know. You know,
Do better when you know better.
Yep.
but you do better, right? You know, and there's so many nuggets. There's so many tax tips. Again, it looks like we're not going to get it all covered in this session either. But you know, I tell people it is tax time. There are some really great credits out there. If you don't mind, can I just drop a couple of them for you guys?
Absolutely.
New credits. Okay, so new credits that are out there. This was also out last year. I don't think a lot of people knew this. If you have a child or someone that you were taking care of due to COVID, you are able to get up to $511 a day, up to 10 days from the IRS. Okay, so we've got a child goes to daycare says we're closed because we cannot stay open. That is a credit that is available to self-employed individuals. Sorry, y'all W-2 folks, today's not your day. Okay, today is for our small businesses.
Right.
And so with that, there is also a sick leave credit that is available. Same thing, you were not able to, or let's say someone was told to quarantine by a healthcare provider. So if you missed any days, up to 10 days for the sick leave, you can get up to $200 a day from the IRS. And this is a refundable credit. The difference is a refundable credit means that if it exceeds your liability, you'll get a check. Okay, so it doesn't just reduce tax liability, it is a refundable credit. Okay, there's some things that reduce liability, mortgage interest, contributions, tax, right, reduces liability. This particular credit is a refundable credit. Okay, you also, there is a third credit that's available, and that is up to 50 days, and you can also take advantage of the 10 days. And these are all coronavirus related. So if we were small businesses and we were put on pause for any reason, ask your accountant. How can, based on your income, okay, these amounts are based on your income, but they're up to $511 a day for a max of $5,100, and the other one is $200 a day. And of course, you can still take that whole 60-day period of write-offs if you qualify. Also, another big credit that's out there this year is child and dependent care credits. So that particular credit, if you have your child in a childcare setting, a school, right, and you're paying any type of fees, the IRS will give you up to $4,000 refundable credits this year. The refunds are going through the roof. 2 kids, that's $8,000. The refunds are going through the roof this year, let me tell you. And so those are some of the big and the new things that are out, a couple of other things, but I don't want to take too much more time, but those are some of the big credits that are out there that are refundable credits, and go take advantage of them if you qualify. In prior years, when we were raising our kids, or when I was raising my kids, you got $400. They're getting $4,000.
Now, is that last one, hold on, is that last one for self-employment, or that's anyone?
It's for either.
Wow.
That's for our W-2s or our self-employeds.
I
That
see
very
you,
last
Jay.
Another point, one last point of clarification, if I may. When you talked about the prior ones for self-employment, is self-employment if only you're self-employed? What if you have a W-2 and you're self-employed? Does that?
They'll still allow it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are absolutely allowed to take any one of those coronavirus credits as long as they're self-employment income. And of course, it would be based on what you typically make. And so now what they're doing, no different than the PPP, they are replacing the income that you have lost. So that's pretty much what they're doing in a refundable credit.
Listen, if you are listening to the show via Facebook or YouTube, I'm asking you, tag a friend, tag 10 people. This is information that some of this I'm hearing for the first time, maybe because, I don't have little ones anymore. And so, but I'm certainly thinking of my kids and their grandkids and what everybody went through, all families went through during the pandemic. And we're still going through. Michelle,
take advantage of these credits.
You have just opened up a whole new area that can help our families who are struggling with information that most didn't even know. Tag, share.
Right. Because we, for the longest, would not report child care credit, dependent care credits, because it really wasn't worth anything.
Right.
Right. Man. And I'm telling you this year, and I felt like the IRS kept it as a secret. So I'm like, I'm telling everybody.
And we appreciate you telling everybody. We're trying to tell everybody.
I had to look at my husband sideways. I had to look at my husband sideways. I was like, the way these credits are set up, I might want a whole nother baby. But it is only for this year, so don't go making that mistake.
Oh, okay.
Don't, not next year, just for this year.
Listen, speaking of babies, and while we have a moment, I could not let today go by, because 30 years ago, God blessed me and my husband to give birth to our baby boy, Yannick T. Cousteau Sr. So I have to say, we have this platform. Oh, look, wait, that's the face when you come home and tell your mom you're moving back home. That's what that smile is all about. He had just come back here after so many years. Like DBJ was away, 10 years, DBJ? So he was probably away 15. So that's that smile on that picture. Thank you, Ricky. That's Mama happy to know that her baby boy is coming back home. And so happy birthday to you. I also want to make sure that our guests remember we have events coming up. Regina was coming on the show today, and her store is slam. Queen's African Visions apparel is slam today. She just texted me, customers are helping customers. And that's a great thing to be able to do this, but we really should support our African apparel businesses all year long. And so she wasn't able to jump on to ask her questions about the move, but she is having a Sankofa Cultural Black History Market, which is coming up on the 26th. She had an amazing market during December, Small Business Saturday. I mean, it was off the chain. Vendors from everywhere. And so you'll get to do this and get to be a part of that at the Rebirth event park. Rebirth Missionary Baptist Church, they have an event park, and it's just a beautiful place to spend, and it will be packed as it usually is. But you'll hear more about that. She'll be coming on the show next week with my co-host for the 4th hour of the show, Kylia Campbell, and they'll be talking fashion, and she'll talk a little more about the Sankofa Cultural Black History Market that's coming up. But again, Michelle, thank you. We just will have to just keep replaying and resending this video out, because that's good stuff.
Absolutely. Look, your headline.
Good stuff.
Get up $4,000 now.
Absolutely.
Hey, we're trying to survive out here. I need some babies.
All these babies all these COVID babies get these checks.
Yes.
We appreciate that, but more importantly, helping us as small business owners prepare to have a healthy business. And you're so right. I remember taking a workshop right at the beginning of the pandemic. We had talked to the representative from the Small Business Association, and a lot of our small businesses couldn't even make it to the first step process because the paperwork just wasn't in order. Didn't have a profit loss statement, didn't have their income taxes up to date. So while millions of dollars were flying out the door, couldn't even come into our community.
Yeah, I was a part of one of the reviewers with Albert Lee, and
yes, that's where the first batch of funds were.
We couldn't give the money away. Like, we had the money, but you could not give the money away. Nothing matched. They filed nothing. They had no reports. It's
nothing from nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Special thanks to you. We will tag your information on our thank you post. Thank you to my co-host, Diva J. Welcome back. Looking forward to hearing more about you guys. This show is a wrap.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, guys.